I have a great stocking stuffer for you. These are the little tissue holders. You can put the little prepackaged things of tissues into these great little easy 5 minute, maybe 7 minutes altogether, 10 if you're cutting your material. I have mine ready to go. I think this would be one of those great gifts that you put the little Kleenex in, you get your little gift bag, you stuff that in there, you get a little jar opener with a magnet, you stuff that in there, and then maybe one of your little wallet things. What a great girlfriend gift. I would love getting this. And honestly, this is so cute. I carried this around the other day as a little handbag. So much fun to have. I want to put some pockets in the next one I make, but you could put all that in there and boom, bam, you've got the perfect little gift. Okay, let's make one of these easy sew projects. You guys are gonna love it. You're gonna need for this, you are going to need 2 pieces of material. That's it. You're gonna do both of them at 5 3/4 by, now you got 2 different ones. So you're gonna do 5 3/4 by 8 1/4, and then 5 3/4 by 7, I believe it is. Yes, 8 1/4, 7. So the 8 1/4 is your inside material. This is confusing. And the 7 is your outside material. All right, let's do it. You're going to do pretty sides together, and you're going to sew at 1/4 of an inch. And we are really just going to do this in real time. 1/4 of an inch. Back stitch beginning and end. And I'm going to line these up. And then 1/4 of an inch again. That done. Then what I found worked really well was to go ahead and just finger press your seams open and just give that a little press, and then just kind of open those up. A little press. You're going to turn these around quick and easy. You're going to find the middle there, give or take. It's about 1/4 of an inch on each side, which should be right about your seam allowance. And you're going to finger press that open. I found that it looks really nice if you do a little stitch on here. I'm going to do it on the inside this time. I'm just kind of playing with some different things and designs for these. They really do go like the rubber grippers. They go super quick. I just want to see what this look like. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it because we're going to tuck it in there. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm just stitching. So you can see you don't have to. You do not have to put the stitch on there. And I'll just show you. I didn't do any kind of stitching on this one. I didn't do any kind of stitching on this one or this one. I think the first one that I did any stitching on was this one that I did a stitch on the outside, but I wanted to test it and see if it looked good on the inside, and I think it does. So we're gonna do that, and I'm just keeping it super close to the edge. It's really just to kind of hold it where you've got that on there. You could press it and it would do the same thing. Just keep everything where you want it. Now from here, all you're going to do is fold this in half. Actually, you're going to fold it this way. Fold it in half, lining up. Then you're going to take this, bring it in to your fold line. And you're going to bring this over. And what you're going to do, what I liked about this, doing the stitching, is that I can line the stitching up. And I know I've got just the right fold over, and so keeping that in the center line, bringing that in, And then you're just going to do 1/4 of an inch on your seam, back stitch just because this is going to get some pull from putting your Kleenexes in and out. So right where those seams overlap, you want to back stitch a couple of times, or at least once. And then we're going to go this way. And again, I'm just looking to line those all up. Put it in. Back stitch over this. And back stitch at the end. And then you could trim down if you want to. This has quite a bit on here, so I'm going to trim that extra off. This side has a little bit too from the inside material. I'm going to trim that off. You could also take your corners and snip those down. Just make it a little less bulk in there. All right, got all that out of the way. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab that, and just like we normally box out the corners, we're gonna do the same thing on here. I do it so you can see where this is open. I do it away from that. So you're pushing that seam backwards. And I don't measure, I just go, I know it's 1/4 of an inch that I wanna do on here. So I know that my line on that side is marked at 1/4 of an inch. And I just kind of line it up just a little bit over the tip. And I'm just going to back stitch a couple of times over this so it holds. Pull that out, and we're going to do all of the corners. And you just really just kind of grab, pull, pinch, make sure you got it flattened out and centered as much as possible. And again, you're just lining it up with that 1/4 of an inch mark on your machine. Makes it really easy. You don't have to draw, get out your ruler. You just keep it going. And then, what do we got? 2 more. And I just kind of give it a pull. Make sure I've got that laying down. Centered in the middle. 1/4 of an inch. Back and forth a couple times. And I leave the point. I don't cut it off. That way you don't get a bunch of fray going on inside this. You can just leave it. And again, you're just grabbing that, making sure it's kind of in the center. 1/4 of an inch. Let me put my presser foot down first. And then just making sure you got all your long threads. You're going to turn this right side out, pop out your corners. And of course, I don't have any tissues to put in here to show you, but it's like the perfect little fit. And you can see that the stitch just adds a little bit more decorative than when you don't put it on there. Just a little difference. That's it. 5 minutes. You're done. I'm Cassie. This is 62 Handcrafted. See y'all soon.